Hey, Zach here, and in today's video, we're taking a look at an AC/DC deep cut. This is Soul Stripper, and it's the 5th track on the original Australian pressing of the High Voltage album, also released on the '74 Jailbreak EP, and it is the only song on the album that doesn't include Bon Scott as a songwriter. So this is a Young and Young, Angus and Malcolm song, and it actually features some lead guitar parts by Malcolm Young, kind of a rare thing, and Angus and Malcolm actually duel it out on the main guitar solo section. So that's a really cool thing to hear and to play, which we'll be getting into shortly. And the song starts with this extended jam section that's actually kicked off with some unique percussion parts. You'll actually hear woodblock and bongos. Probably the only AC/DC song that has bongos. So we'll go ahead and crank right into it. It's a fun song, pretty simple, lots of cool guitar parts. So let's take a look with the intro riff. All right, so the song kicks off with a big B power chord, and you're gonna hold that for 2 bars. Actually, all these chords in the intro you're gonna hold for 2 bars. So we start off with B, then we move to A, and then E. So it's 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, A, E. Then a G. So basically the tag to that riff is we're just playing the G, 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 A, and then back to that B. Okay, so pretty straightforward there, and they play that riff 2 times before kind of fading out and letting the bass and percussion kind of take center stage. And this bass line is pretty simple, and it's going to play through most of the song. You're just playing off the B and A notes like so. All right, so pretty simple. You just want to make sure that you hit that B in the middle of the part twice. So that's... That's the bass part. Now after that bass line plays through 4 times, Angus and Malcolm are gonna come in with this interweaving guitar part, and Malcolm actually comes in on beat 2. So when you're counting, resist the urge to play at the top of the bar on beat 1. But it's very simple. I think Malcolm is just playing an octave here with the B, so that's the 7th fret and 9th fret, low E and D strings. He basically just hits it and slides off. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 4. Okay? And then on beat 3 of the next bar, Angus plays this slidey part going between the D and E notes. Again, octaves here on the A string, so that's 5 and 7 on the A and G strings, and then moving that up 2 frets to the E. So sliding between those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. So together, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. All right, so again, Malcolm just kind of hits that beat on 2, and Angus answers with. So that's the gist of the part. Malcolm hits that big beat on 2, and then Angus answers with that slidey part. Right. And so they play that part 4 times, and then we get into the solo section, and here Malcolm is still playing octaves, but instead of just landing on beat 2, he starts to anticipate it with some slides up from the A, starting on, I think, maybe the end of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But he's still emphasizing that second beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So over the course of Angus's lead part, which is coming up, he's really just kind of going between this B and A octave, but still hammering on that beat 2 with the B note. All right, so getting into this first solo here by Angus, it's all in B minor pentatonic, and we're starting here at the 7th position. All right, so it starts with a pretty simple, just hitting that minor third, giving it a little bend, and nailing the root. All right, and so the second lick, bending that E note up to F sharp, up to the 5, catching the A note on the B string, there on the 10th fret, and the third lick, things start getting a little spicier with kind of a descending idea. And then the transition lick is pretty cool. We're gonna play a kind of a legato idea, 7-9-7, and then drop down to the 6th fret here for this C sharp note, which is the 9 of the scale, so kind of a color tone here. And then again, we're kind of pulling off right back down the scale in that box. So all together. And just when you think, oh, where's that note gonna go? He kind of hits the note and runs all the way back up to the scale, bending up into the root. All right, so again, just make sure that you're kind of hitting those top 2 strings there before bending back up to the B. And then to re-emphasize that tag, we're emphasizing some more notes here on the high E string before, again, bending back up into that root. And then this next part also features that 9th note, or that C sharp, that goes like this. So again, that's the high E string, 9th fret. So we're going from that 9 to the minor third, and pulling back off. 2 pull-offs there on the B string. And then we're hitting that blues note in our pull-off here on the G string, 10th fret. All right, now we're gonna slide out of that 7th position box up here to the 12th position. So we're gonna start by sliding into the major 6th, which is the G sharp on the G string, 13th fret. And of course, then hitting that B string for that root. Now we're gonna play the 2 or the 9, and we're kind of bend that up into that minor third, or at least somewhere in the neighborhood of a half step bend. All right, and so then from there, this is where it gets a little hard to hear exactly what Angus is playing, but I caught this lick from the AC/DC house band guitar player, and it seems to get the job done. So after that bend, we're gonna hit 12, 14 on the high E string, and then that kind of sets us up for this kind of repeating hypnotic lick here. All right, so we're gonna play that high E and F sharp note, and then D pulling off to the B. Hitting this A note, give it a little bend. Again, pulling from that minor third off to the root, playing it twice. And then we're just gonna play that little 3-note pattern 2 times. Again, giving that A just a little bend. And then we're gonna cap this lick with a unison bend. And of course that unison bend will hit 3 times. And that brings us into the next higher part of the solo. So for this next lick, we're gonna move up to the 17th fret, B string, and we're gonna bend this E note basically up to an F sharp, which is the 5th. And then we're pivoting from that E to that D sharp, or the major third. So it kind of gives it this kind of interesting kind of harmonic rub here. All right, and so then we come up to the highest box of our B minor pentatonic, way up here from the 19th to the 22nd fret. We're gonna take that A note, bend it up to the B, give a little pull off to the F sharp, and basically hit that bend a few more times. Something like that, kind of weaving between like whole and half step bends. All right, and then we're giving a little pull off here on the high E string, again from that 19 to that 22nd fret. All right, and that's kind of a classic move, basically doing that high pull off and then pivoting between that high B and E string there on our kind of home base in the box there on that 19th fret. And then from here, we're gonna descend a little bit from the high root, and we're gonna pull down from the 22nd to the 21, 19, and you're gonna do that twice. So kind of emphasizing that major 6th there. bending our G string up. All right, so that kind of brings us down to the G string there. After that whole step bend, you're just gonna hit the 19th fret, bend back up into that 21st fret, and then catch that minor 7th here, or the A note on the B string. Another bend there on that G string, and then we're gonna hit that octave on the B string, 19th fret, and then hit that whole step bend there again. And obviously there we've got a lot more bends up to the root. You know, and again, we're kind of weaving between like these whole step and maybe kind of half and 3/4 step bends. Slow the song down, see how you can kind of match the bend to the pitch. It's pretty hard to do to match the record exactly, but that's the idea. And then of course we're jumping up to the high E string, 22nd fret, for some more high bends there. And of course that kind of caps the solo with about the highest note you could possibly bend into on your guitar. And to kind of bring things down, Angus plays just a couple little licks here. All right, sliding from that root into that minor third. Then of course going from the 7 to the 9, back to the root. All right, and then he plays, again, kind of weaving around this major 6. He goes on the B string, 9th fret, bends up to that minor 7 and back down to the 5. There on the B string. All right, and here he's just outlining that B minor shape. And you'll hear the drums give that kind of crash on beat 2, which again kind of harkens back to the whole rhythmic idea going all the way back to the beginning of the solo. So that is the first main big section of Soul Stripper. We've got the intro guitar riff, which practically gives us all of the chords that we'll need to know for this song, the breakdown into the solo, and now we get to the verse. Alrighty, so there's really no guitar parts through kind of the first half of the verse, and then we hear Angus and Malcolm trade these, just these quick little licks. And they come together on that kind of chromatic part. So very simple, just going back to our box. I'm pretty sure Malcolm plays and Angus plays the same idea, minor third to the root, here an octave higher. And then they both play A sharp B, of course Malcolm being down here, and I think Angus probably an octave higher up here on the B string. All right, now moving into the pre-chorus, we're gonna use this G to kind of build the part up over the course of 2 bars. And then we're going to play the B power chord, and we're gonna raise the index finger to catch that A note, it's kind of going between the A and the B, that's going to kind of mimic what our bass has been doing this whole time. And And the next time through that part, we're gonna play that 2 bars of G again. Hitting that B part really quick and then ending with the E, maybe E major there. And we're going into the chorus. So the chorus part is pretty simple. Again, we're just going from the B power chord to the A to the E. Again, kind of giving it that anticipation kind of before the beat. And the first time through that riff, you're just gonna hang on to that B power chord until the riff repeats. And then we're capping the chorus part, again, with this chromatic idea that, at least to my ear and fingers, just follows the A major scale from the root up to the 5th and back to the root. So you can play this A note on the 5th fret, low E string, the C sharp on the A string, and then just walk that up to the 7th fret. Back to that A. And if you play it kind of fast, that kind of hints at a riff that's coming way on down the line. But that is the gist of the major guitar parts, at least the rhythm parts, for Soul Stripper. Now in verse 2, we're just gonna play that B to A to E power chords. During the verse, that's really the gist of it. We're not playing the not playing that in verse 2. And if you're thinking that this is also sounding like Livewire, well, trust your ears, and that's coming soon. But that is the gist of all of the main rhythm guitar parts, all kind of revolving around that B, A, E, build up on the G. And so really the only other thing to look at from here is the really cool guitar solo featuring a dueling Angus and Malcolm Young. So let's take a look at that. All right, so after the second chorus, we get into the guitar solos where Malcolm and Angus are gonna trade licks, basically 4 bars back and forth at a time. And the underlying rhythm part is going to be the intro riff. So basically for the first 4 bars that Malcolm is gonna be playing over, we've got 2 bars of the B, 2 bars of the A, and then Angus comes in on 2 bars of the E, and then the G that's gonna build up to the A, and of course the part repeats. Alrighty, so Malcolm is gonna be mostly playing out of this 7th position B minor pentatonic box, and he's starting with this double stop on the 7th fret G and B strings, and he's gonna play that classic kind of country-ish lick, ending on that E note. So it's, and we're gonna do a little pull off to cap it there on the root. All right, so we're gonna hit that D note, bending up to the root, back down. And then we're gonna play just a really simple bend and pull off on the B string. Again, all out of that minor pentatonic box. And then we're just playing that descending line to cap off this first lick here. All right, and then the answer comes with Angus. And so he's gonna start by just playing right down the scale, the 3, 2, and 1 on that high E string. Then he's gonna come back up to the 2, and again, he's gonna kind of flirt between the 2 and the minor third by bending that 9th fret high E string up to that D note. And then really he's just playing 2 more notes, again with big bends. We're gonna come up here to the E note on the B string, 17th fret. Again, kind of whole step, maybe getting into like, again, playing in that in-between area of half and whole step. And then he's just gonna bend the high A note on the high E string up to the root. So that's the 17th fret there as well. And that is the first call and response Malcolm and Angus part. All right, so Malcolm comes in with lots of these bends there on the B and G string. It would be super tedious to go through that lick note by note, but I'll play it here slow for you. All right, and then Angus has this really cool response where he plays down the B minor scale, and again, he is playing off of the 9th, or that C sharp there, and the lick goes something like this. All right, so that's kind of the first part. So again, so including that blues note and landing on that root. All right, and then the second part of that lick, he's gonna come up and basically outline a B major chord. That's the D sharp, F sharp, B. Again, he's really playing with the that C sharp note, the 9th in this song. And of course, bending it up to that D, or kind of somewhere in between for that kind of half step bend. Bending and pulling off, and then capping with couple of whole step bends up to the E note. All right, so again, this next Malcolm lick is mostly just a lot of bends on those 2 high E strings. So again, I'll just play the lick nice and slow here so that you can take a look yourself. All right, and the response lick here from Angus is pretty close to one of the licks that he plays in the intro solo. Starts off with that bend up to the root. All right, but the main difference is that here he's landing on that E note, whole step bend, and then just the straight ahead note. All right, and then Malcolm breaks out of the box. He comes way up here at the 15th position and is really just gonna play on the B string this 19th fret F sharp to the 15th fret D. And so that basically just has you pulling off from the 5th to the 3rd, so kind of a cool sound there. So that's a pull off, and then we're playing that D note an extra time. So it has this kind of hypnotic effect by you hearing that D twice, both from the articulation with the pull off and the actual pick. And then he's just gonna cap that with the B note on the 16th fret G string, and he's just gonna add a little tag to that by bending that E up to that F sharp, right, in that little box there. All right, and Angus's response is he's basically picking up right where Malcolm left off, right here in this kind of 16th, 15th to 17th position. Again, just landing on that root, and to kind of build up to the end, the climax of the solo part, he's gonna bend that high A up to that high B. You could also play that way up here on the 22nd fret. And to cap off, we're gonna come up here to this super high box. All right, and hit that lick, ending with that super high bend there on the high E string. All right, and as we head into the outro, the last few times through the chorus, Angus is gonna come in with this high repeating line that kind of outlines the chord changes that goes from the B to the A to the G sharp back to the B. Now, he's probably actually playing that way up here with a bend. All right, so it's kind of cool how that kind of outlines the chords, and it's kind of reminiscent of the outro lick with Hell's Bells that kind of does the same thing. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. And then, you know, really, after playing that lick a few times, it's kind of hard to exactly hear what Angus is playing through his lead parts, but he's clearly jamming on that high B minor pentatonic box. And, you know, as cool of a song as Soul Stripper is, it's kind of weird that it has kind of a lame ending. It almost sounds like, you know, they should have turned off the recording, but it really just kind of devolves into some noodly, slippy, slidey guitar parts, and yeah, it kind of just peters out there at the end. But don't let that ruin a good time with a super cool AC/DC song that's pretty long. This is like 6.5 minutes. So it's a bit of a bear to get through all of these guitar parts, but they're all super fun. So that does it for Soul Stripper, and stick around for the next track that we will be exploring in our AC/DC journey, and that will be You Ain't Got a Hold on Me. We'll see you there.